y'all, Marvin here from Blacktop Banter. Really quick, just wanted to talk about the 800 pavement network. As you can see, we have some lettering there, lettering on our other truck over there, lettering on this truck here. They all say 1-800-Blacktop. We've been using the 1-800-Blacktop number here for the last couple of years. It's really been exceptional for us as far as making things click with our branding, and now that we're in another state, those area codes are together. It's worked out fantastically for us. The other thing is that 800 Pavement Network has other advantages. There's group discounts on a lot of the products and materials that we use within our industry. We're part of over 300 different, see that one? Over 300 different contractors that are now using these numbers all over the country. That's combined over $2 billion in gross profits. So if you've been thinking about it or you're curious about it and you're like, well, oh, should I or shouldn't I? DM me, message me, or reach out to 800 Pavement Network. You can find them online through their website. You can call 1-800-PAVEMENT and you'll get them as well. They'd be happy to run you through kind of the advantages and everything else that we've been taking advantage of here at Wiscote and Dubuque Asphalt Maintenance, and how it can benefit you as well. Once again, if you're curious about it at all, you can always DM me. So yeah, 1-800-Blacktop. You can DM me or message me or email me through the podcast or Wiscote or wherever as well. I would love to talk to you about how it has helped us. Hey everybody, welcome back. Another episode of Blacktop Banter. We've been busy. We've been pumping out episodes, and I've been trying to mix it up a little bit with friends, and then we got some manufacturers coming on. I know y'all love when we do contractors too, but everybody is connected in this industry, and sometimes you run into just random meetings at random times and random places. And today's guest and I met in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was there at Leeboy, creating some content. This fella and his beautiful wife were at an expo for fabrics. You heard me right, fabrics. And then all of a sudden we started talking about, well, what kind of fabrics? I thought for sure it was going to be like some canvases, or they make drapery or dresses or something like that, but that's not the case. Anyways, my guest today is Carl Cordell with American Canvas. Carl, please introduce yourself and tell these people what you all do.
Carl Cordell with American Canvas. So met Marvin with my wife, Chelsea. So Chelsea and I run American Canvas here in Fort Worth, Texas. He said he was in, he's like, yeah, I'm in the asphalt. And I said, yeah, well, I have a tarp shop. And so that was really weird that I was like, man, we're in the same business. And so we specialize in all types of tarps, mostly for dump trucks, in dumps, any kind of specialty tarp that you could need here in Fort Worth.
Yeah, so. And I mean, when we met, I was telling you about our tarp that's on our dump trailer that we use for patching and stuff like that. And then that's where and we were on a roof. So get this, like, not only was it a chance of us meeting, but we were on a rooftop with maybe 50 people, right? Like, what are the chances of that ever happening? And then once I found out you all did tarps and everything, I was like, oh man, you're in the industry. And then we started talking about our expo, and you're like, I have no clue what you're talking about. I'm like, no, man, like the National Pavement Expo and World of Asphalt. Like, I think you guys would be fantastic there. And that's how everything got started. And when we were talking, you were telling me that this is a family business, right?
Right. Third generation.
So how did it get started?
That's something that, so my granddad started actually doing party doing a lot of wedding stuff. And then as the need for truck tarps came along, we got away from that, got more into the heavy duty truck tarp, oil field applications, more along the lines of that. And in 2008, I started here for my dad. And my actual first job was for an asphalt guy out of Lubbock, and they had just had a bunch of dump trucks here, and I had no clue what they were. I mean, I didn't know anything about the tarp business, and those guys, they broke me in pretty quick. So pretty fast paced. Um, wanted everything really cheap, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. So um, it's funny. A lot of the families that we run into in the asphalt side of our business, it's very similar to what our canvas business, and the fact that it's father, son,
Right.
granddad. I mean, there's a lot of that intermingles with our businesses. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's almost universal. I mean, if you're anywhere from even like borderline large and below, most of the time they're generational until you get down to the guys that are like just seal coating and they just decided to start it. Like that's sometimes that's not, that's not generational, but anywhere in between there, man, it is. And it's a high percentage, like 90% sometimes, dude. Like it's a lot. And that's every part that we've come to figure out of this industry is generational business like that. That's why it's so important, right? That we keep it going and they can build that foundation. But then also times are changing, people are changing. So like we have to adapt a little bit. You and I are doing a podcast that didn't even exist when your grandpa and your dad were there, right?
no
And doing
joke.
everything, dude. And then going to the expo, right? And the shows and those types of things. They didn't think like that. You don't think outside the box, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, yeah, we should do that, right? It's a whole new market. One thing I want to ask you, like, some people might not understand the purpose of tarps, right, and what they do on there, where and what they look
Well,
like, what their
so
consistency is, like what are they made of, and what do they do?
okay, okay. So everything we use now is a PVC coated um, nylon fabric that most of it's all 22 or 26-ounce like thickness. And I wish I had some here at my desk, but I don't. But a lot of our asphalt guys, it's all about heat retention. So some of our customers are trying to keep things from just flying out of their truck. And so they'll use a screen or a mesh, or they're trying to keep water off of it. So we devised a tarp system that rolls side to side specifically for the asphalt dump trucks, because you're trying to keep that tarp up off of the hot mix. Because what is it, 500 degrees or
Yeah,
400
yeah,
degrees? I don't know what it
it
is.
is.
Pretty
It's
hot.
between 400 and 500. Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of these guys are, they're going to pick up hot mix, and then they're having to go to the job site, and they're wanting to retain that heat, not just have it just,
Right.
the cold weather get to it. And so we have a rollover system, but we do tons of the front to back arm style. You see that a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't hold the heat in like our side roll. If it rolls from passenger side to driver side,
Yep.
that's my most common. Um,
And so
a little harder to work around because of.
so Carl, it goes over the side and there's a hook there, right? So it goes underneath, and then
Right,
that long shaft will lock up underneath and get it nice and tight. Is that right?
right,
Okay.
right. That's right.
So then
So
go ahead. I want
that's
you.
something at the paving show. Now we're lagging a little bit, but at the pave show, I want people to be able to come to our booth and see how we draw the tarps. And so if you're in North Dakota and you need a tarp, or I had a guy today in Florida, and I said, man, I'm not really set up to ship to you. I want him to be able to know how to measure and just send that to me. And then I can get that tarp put in a box and sent to Florida for him, and with all the parts, because ultimately I told him I can't help him in Florida much,
Right.
you know, and he doesn't have anybody to go to. Um, so, so that's kind of on my list of things to do is get a easier kit for people to use that aren't close to Fort Worth.
Yeah. No,
So
that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. There's a need there. You guys are the guys to make it, fill it, figure it out, and figure that little niche there out. I mean, you can order a tarp, send it up. I mean, the one that we got is easy, right? You just put bungee cord through it and put it down on some hooks. And if you're going short distance, you're going to keep the heat in enough that you can patch and pave some small stuff and do your thing. The question I have for you, so how do you, and I'm not going to ask you specifically the numbers, but like, how do you price it all out? Like, is it different for each size or is it different for each type? Like, how do you do that?
Um, most of my dump trucks now, I'm starting to see bigger and bigger dump trucks. They're getting, it seems like they're getting, I had like some 26 footers. I mean, we have some big tandems that come in. Uh, Most of the ones here are, 1,200 bucks, and
Okay.
that's a complete kit. So that's cheap. I mean, it really is cheap. Um, that consists of a front cap that goes on the front of the dump truck, a rear cap, and then the tarp that rolls side to side with all the hardware. We're about 1,200 right now
Yeah, man, that's crazy good value.
installed.
That's
Uh,
crazy good value.
it is,
Yeah, and I mean, yeah,
it is, and we have a ridge pole. What we like to do is, we,
go ahead.
yeah, we have a ridge pole that goes down the center of the tarp, so it holds the tarp up. It keeps it from sagging down.
Oh, okay.
And not a lot of guys do that. I don't say it's our design, but it's something that we do that not a lot of people do.
What kind of
Um,
challenges? What kind of challenges do you run into? I mean, are there any, right? Like, are there any like challenges where you're like, man, son of a gun, or do you have certain rigs where you come in where you're like, oh,
um,
it's gonna be rough, or do you adapt them because they can't all be perfectly like how you want them. You got to customize it a little
right,
bit each time, right?
right. I will tell you some of the a lot of the ones we work on are aluminum now. We really like aluminum beds, but some of the steel, like the ox body. I don't know if you're familiar with like ox,
Yeah, yeah.
like the hard ox. That brand. Man, drilling in those, it's it's something different. It's really a pain, um, to the point where sometimes we have to weld to them to just put our fasteners in.
Dang.
Um, but no, not too much. I hate to say I've been doing it so long now. It's like
Don't hate to
anything
say
else.
it. Don't hate to say it. You can say you're the best. Don't hate to say it, boy. I say I'm the
It's
best
like,
all the time.
man, once you see, I mean, it's like I don't have an analogy for you, but it's like once you've been doing something for 15 years, you've seen just about every different hookups, snag that you're going to run into. And so we've worked around those. Um,
How
I'd
many?
say
How
my
many?
biggest hang up really,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you off because we're lagging. Go ahead.
no, that's okay.
Your biggest
No,
hang
just
up.
the biggest hangups are some of the trailers are not square. We get into these weird zones and trying to make the loading area as wide as possible, because that's the first thing. When you're trying to put the asphalt in, we try to make the opening as wide as possible but still keep the heat in. And sometimes that's a challenge. I mean, sometimes guys will say, man, I need it wider, more wide. And I'm like, you're gonna have to make do with what you got. So
So
that's it.
how many times since you've been there has the fabric, the material changed that you guys have worked with? Do you switch brands when you find something better? Has it changed very much then? I
No,
mean, with the fabric and the PVC, I mean, back in the day, it used to just be leather most of the time. It had that leather look, that leather feel, but
and
that was always a PVC on top, wasn't it?
yeah. So since I've started, not a whole lot. I have gone to a thicker fabric. Um, Most companies now are importing a 18-ounce vinyl coated product. We try to stick to 22-ounce vinyl. That's all I import now is 22 ounce,
So
and
what
it's
do
all
you do?
imported.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't even get it not imported. I wouldn't,
Right?
right?
No. No.
So what do you do? So let's say you get a measurement. What's the process, right? You do, I'm guessing it comes on rolls. The fabric comes on rolls. You guys pull it onto a big table or on the ground, or how do you do
The
it? What's the
ground.
process? If I
We're
call
old
you,
school.
yeah, if I call you and I'm like, hey man, it's a I don't know, 16 by 12 or 16 by 14 or something, or 18 by 14, then what do you do?
Um, yeah, we pull the fabric off. You measure the trailer. Typically, when a trailer rolls in, I have ladies that sew. The guys will go out, take all the measurements, and then, like I said, we'll draw. Usually, it's 87 inches in the front, and then we have to. There's like a dog house in the front, or a wind block, and so we'll make cutouts around that. Make a front piece, then make the rear apron or rear bonnet. Some people call it the rear boot, or all these different terminologies, but we'll make that, and then we roll out the big tarp. And the big change we've made the past 2 years is we don't sew anymore. We don't use any thread, very little thread on our tarps.
That's what I was going to ask you about. So does the fabric itself just hold up on those cut edges? You don't have to hem those up so that they
Yes.
stay there. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
we do. So I still, and that's something that we do, that we're going to continue to do, I guess, as long as I'm here. I'm all about like seatbelt webbing in your truck, like when you put your seatbelt on. So I'm big on sewing that front, back, and then I'm trying to get a product where we can weld it. So you're welding it instead of stitching it, we can hot weld it. And what that does is that creates a bond that you don't have to worry about the thread going bad. Um, and so that's something this year we've moved over to. All of my pockets that we used to stitch for like the pipe to go through,
Yep.
no more thread. And so for a guy that's out, like I have a customer today in Missouri, he's not near a tarp shop, so he doesn't want thread to have to deal with. Anybody can heat something up and patch it, or anything like that. So um, that's something we've done this year, is change the way we manufacture the tarps, because that's what people don't realize about this little shop. And some of your guys that watch this, they're gonna go, "Oh, I've been there. Like I know
Oh
that
yeah.
guy, the
Yeah, yeah,
sleeveless
yeah.
shirt guy." And it's a small shop. I mean, we are old. We are old school.
That's good.
Um,
That's
but
how you know it's made good, bro. That's how you know it's made
that's
good.
right.
I mean, that's just
That's right.
that's how it is.
So
So where do people find American Canvas? So if they're on, like, let's say I go in, I'm on it. Where do I find it? Do I type it in Google? Do I go on Facebook? Do I go
I
on
guess that's
Instagram?
something
Wherever. I mean, Chelsea would know, right? She'd be
funny,
like
Marvin. We
zero.
zero advertising.
Well, I know where you're
Really
gonna
give out
be.
koozies. I give out pencils.
Yeah, I know where you're gonna be,
Uh,
right? So where you're gonna be at
right.
MPE this year,
I've
right?
got to figure out what I'm taking.
Wow. I mean, you
Yes.
take whatever you want.
Um,
You
so we have a we have a Facebook. American Canvas Fort Worth, and then amcanvas.com. Um, most of what I get is email. I'm mostly all email now, but
So that's the people can go to
as far as
americancanvas.com though and find the website and then contact you all through there.
amcanvas.com.
Oh,
Yep.
amcanvas.com. You'll go right there
Yes,
and
sir.
stuff like that. What was your booth number at the MPE? What's that going to be?
1440.
1440. All right. Well, I hopefully Morgan and the team there at Emerald Expositions give me a little kickback off of selling a booth for them on the fly. The
Yeah, for sure.
the other thing I want you to tell us about, you went over the problems, right, and kind of the story and how it started. You guys are making party tents, your grandpa was, and whatnot. What's it like working with family? Like what's it been like through the years? I mean, you talk about some of the adaptations and stuff you've made. Is that, do you catch grief sometimes when you're like, we should go this way or whatever? I mean, or does your dad still care about that? Or is he like, kid, it's yours, do whatever you want to do with it? What's it been like? I know there's those common problems where you just want to do whatever, but
Oh
what's
yeah.
it been like for you all? And, and,
Mostly good.
and some advice. So what makes it good? What's some advice to make it good for that?
Well, it's I would say first and foremost, obviously, like family legacy. There is something to family legacy, and it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to we're Tarp people. That's what we do. In my hometown, if somebody needs something covered, or whether it's a generator or a truck tarp, or I mean, hey, you go to my dad, you go to Fred,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's weird when you're young, you feel like a kid, and you're just a kid, and your dad's the boss, and then all of a sudden you're 35 and you're the boss, and
Yeah,
it's
they're coming
like,
to Carl. Like, yeah, go
yeah.
talk to Carl. You're like, oh
Yeah, and so
shit.
my dad's like, yeah, don't call me. You need to talk to Carl. So um, it's mostly been fun. It's definitely there's always a power struggle, and there's
Mhm.
always going to be a power struggle between dad and son. I assume it'll be there for me and my kids, or Chelsea and I and our kids, because you want your kids to take over, but you have so much. I have so much invested in this place that it'll be hard for me to let go of the reins.
Right.
Um, uh, you know, I see it a lot even with the asphalt guys. I have one. I don't know if I should say their name on air, but it's the Matthew Mesker and his dad. They're my just him and his dad just fighting. And I'm like, guys, y'all need to stop. And they're mad. And I'm like, y'all look like me and my dad. And it just lets you know that it's family business is dynamic. Um, there's a lot of feelings involved. Um, I would do it again a million times over. Because my kids, I mean, gosh, I hope they do it.
Yeah. I mean, the
I'm
good
gonna
parts,
try to do it much differently than my dad did with me.
the good parts are so good. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
you realize that in any other capacity of how you would earn money, you'd never be able to get those good parts, right? And sometimes they're just so
Right.
damn good that it makes it worth, yeah, I mean, you give up a little bit of whatever, but you gain so much more with the good stuff when it comes out of that. And I think that maybe that's your advice,
Right.
right? Is, hey man, keep that part at the forefront of your mind, right? That's why we do it. We get these good parts that we absolutely love.
Yeah. Well, it's just the balance. I think it's the balance. It's like my dad probably gave me way too much, um, too fast because I wasn't ready for it. And really, we're lucky that we're here. I mean, 2008 to 2010. Oh my goodness,
It
I
was
had
tough.
no clue what I was doing.
Yeah, you jumped in right in
Uh,
the shit. You jumped in right
it
when.
was terrible.
Oh
It
yeah.
was terrible.
Anytime's a good time after those years.
Yeah, and so now, but also that would be my advice to any of the old timers out there, like my dad. You've got to let the business change. It
Yeah.
has to change.
Yeah.
If you don't change, um, you're gonna get stuck. You're gonna get passed up.
Yeah.
Same with our business. There's technology. There's new things.
Yeah.
Um,
I just had this conversation with somebody, right? I went to Boston and we were talking about this kind of stuff. You see companies within our industry where similar to me, right? You work until you're 45 and that business finally makes it. And then you don't grow, you don't adapt. But for the next 15 years, 10 years, you make some money. But then all of a sudden, after 10 or 15 years, all these other companies have adapted and passed by you, and you're not making enough money to where your kid is like, yeah, I want to take this on. They're
right,
like, I want more. Like I want to do more and earn more. So yeah, you got to adapt, you got to move, you got to adjust. You and I were talking about Legacy being a great driver when, even though we had a few cocktails in us when we had that conversation, and I did give you a good one. You had a terrible drink when I showed up, but I did get you a good one. But we talked about driving that stake into the ground deep, deep, deep to where you're so far in front of everybody else that even if you do take your foot off the gas for a second and they catch up, it ain't gonna matter much because you already are so far deep in the head, and you just have, you know, I mentioned some brands to you, right? Like when we first started, the brands in the industry, to where they don't have to do crap because they're so iconic. You know that that's where you go and that's what you do. That's what we're trying to do here at Blacktop Banter, and that's what you are doing at American Canvas. Like, who else can you think of? I can't think of another name in what we do, right? And I couldn't think of a name before I met you. And now, like, when we talk about everybody that you do business for, right? It's like, oh, yeah, these are the guys. So
yeah,
I think it's a testament to where you've come. But I also think with you coming to the expo, talking about technology, hopping on here with me and expanding it even more. I remember when I said that, right? And I was like, dude, it's going to get big. And you're like, I remember you're like, oh no, no. I'm like, you don't got a choice. Like you got to keep your foot on the gas.
yeah. Well, I told Chelsea we're very, very blessed. We're very, very lucky right now. Like you were saying, there's our brand, if you will. People know two things: it's quality, and if there's an issue, it's going to get fixed.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. I mean, and that's my advice to anybody that is running any business. When times are good, anybody can be in business.
Yep.
It's when those jobs come, and it's going to happen. Whether it's whatever you do, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to tear something up. My guys are going to break something. It's the companies that that's what I tell my guys every day. It's the guys that fix the mistakes, and it's going to happen. That's what brings that customer back, because they know if something happens, that Ryan and Chelsea or Carl and Chelsea, they're going to fix that issue, because that's going to cost the price of the tarp is not expensive. It's right. The time that truck is off the job. That's what's expensive. The $1,200, $1,500, that's nothing.
Yeah. No, that's a good piece of advice. Well, the last thing that we always do at the end of the show before we sign off is, we don't always do it, but when Joe, we hit it off like right away, right? When we was chatting, I was like, oh, this is my guy.
Right.
Totally industry dude. But we do a pod deck, and we're gonna do it right now. So I'm gonna shuffle it up real quick, and then we're gonna draw one. Okay. All right, and then I'm gonna cut it, and then we're gonna get her done. All right, ready? Here we go. Hold on, let me see if I can get them.
Let's see what it is.
All right, bro. This is a good one. It says, if you were a haunt, or wait, who or where would you haunt if you were a ghost?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, who or where would you haunt? There's got to be some place where you'd be like, this is where I'd love to scare the shit out of people.
Well, it used to be a real easy one. It would be my competition. I had a competitor that I probably would.
Oh yeah.
But I've become really good friends with all my competitors, and it's been actually quite surprising. Good for business, actually.
It is. Isn't that something? How that changed?
Yes, and so that's something that I would say too. I know we're not on that anymore, but
we'll come back to you, haunt.
Your competitors are. Man, they can be your friends. They can be an ally. They can be
both can prosper really, really well.
Yes, you cannot pave everything.
No, and we've talked about that. I have a friend, Jake, who, like, there's an invisible line here that we try not to cross, but when we do, we do. But we bounce ideas off each other all the time because we're in the same area. We both profit and grow at the same time. And there's been conversations about if we were to sell, both of us selling to the same person at the same time, that being way more lucrative than trying to do two deals or do whatever. I mean, right. It's for the asphalt maintenance side, like there's so many different resources where if I can't get to that project, and he can get to it, my reputation's still there, and he makes money. We make something off of it. It works out really, really well. You just got to kind of do that. But now that we covered that, where would you haunt, or who? Is there got to be somebody you want to?
Gosh, I don't.
You're too kind.
Who would I haunt?
Or where? Where would you want to scare people? I can tell you kind of where I would, but
Where? Well, let me hear yours. Where would you scare people? Like at little kids at a school or something?
no, man. No, man. What? What is
What are you
this?
talking about?
Whatever, man. No, for me, it would probably be at the National Pavement Expo. Like if I'm gone, like I still want to be there. Like I at one of that pavement expos, I'd be walking up and be like, they would see me in the pictures, like with my like doing this or something. They'd be like, "What in the world, boy?" Or I'd move shit off people's table or take pins. I take all the pins. Like there's a lot of shit that I'm thinking about I would do if I was a ghost.
Man, mine would be church related then. I
Oh
would be
yeah,
at
you go.
church.
Yeah.
I'd probably be in a church somewhere scaring some old
Picking
ladies.
the hymn book up, right? Picking
Yes.
the book up, shake it back down. Oh
Yes.
boy. Yeah, that'd be a good time. I would make the trip if I was a ghost, I'd make the trip down there to watch you do that. That'd be a good time. I'd enjoy that too. Well, my friend, I really appreciate the time. You being here. We're gonna do some work together coming up. I got to get y'all on Instagram so I can share everything and do that stuff. I'll ask Chelsea if you got an Instagram, and if not, she'll make one quick. I think you do, but I don't know. We're gonna find out. But anyways, I mean, it's amcanvas.com. You can find these guys, get your tarp made, right?
Yes.
All right, my friend. Well,
My internet is so unstable right now.
I know it, dude, and it's T-storming here real bad. So we're lucky we made it through, and it didn't have to be a 2-part epic series with Carl and Marv, but we made it through, my friend.
I look forward to seeing you. What is it, January 20th or whatever?
Sure.
I look forward. I would definitely want to hook up. I don't know where you're staying or what.
Dude, I barely get to sleep when I go. Sometimes I'll sleep
Oh.
in the expo hall and wake up and then just go back at it. You find me in like the hopper of a Lee Boy, or sometimes you might open up a Gingway 30-gallon melter or a Craftco, and I'll be inside of there, just cuddled in a little bit. Like I live, eat, and breathe, and sleep that place. So we're definitely going to link up. We're going to be doing the Blacktop Banter event on Tuesday night. So Tuesday night, you show up. You all are more than welcome to be there and be invited. It's going to be at a place undisclosed yet, and we're going to have everybody down there the first night doing a big giveaway. So it'll be pretty cool, man. It'll be good to have you all there and see y'all. So we're going to have a great time.
Dude, I look forward to it. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. All right, for myself and for Carl, everybody at American Canvas, this has been episode 84. We're 2 months out from National Pavement Expo. We'll see you all there. As always, here on Blacktop Banter, we speak asphalt. And we might as well do an old one too. We want you to seal it, pave it, stripe it, and kill it. Peace.
See ya.